Welcome to Parshah Power. This week we have Shabbos Devarim. We begin a new book in Deuteronomy, known in Hebrew as Devarim. And it is also known as Shabbos Parshas Chazoin. And it's the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av. And Chazoin is the first words of the Haftorah, which Chazoin is a vision of the prophet Yeshaya Hanavi, which speaks about the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. It's interesting that both the Parshah and the Haftorah both end with very positive lessons. The Parshah ends with, don't be afraid of Israel, the kings that will want to conquer you, because God is fighting for you. Don't be afraid. So the entire Parsha, you could say, is on a negative slant. It begins with Eila Hadvorim. These are the words, the harsh words, Rashi says, that Moshe rebuked the Jewish people before he passed away, telling them, you did this wrong and this wrong, you should fix this. And at the end it says, don't worry about conquering Israel, God will be with you. The same is true in the Haftorah. The Haftorah begins that this will go wrong, this is terrible, you did terrible, there'll be destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, and there'll be a Tisha B'Av, and there'll be mourning. But the end is also on a positive note. Tzion b'mishpat tipodeh v'shaveh b'tzedakah, that Zion will be redeemed through study of Torah, and through its captives will be redeemed through charity. A positive note. My great-great-grandfather, the Holy Shalom, says that the reading of the week has to be connected with a time of the year. Where do we find Tisha B'Av and Shabbos Devarim? He says we find it in the beginning of the portion, where Moshe Rabbeinu blessed the Jewish people. And he says, may God multiply you. You should be 1,000 times as much as you are today. 1,000 times 600,000 is close to 6 billion. Then Rashi says the Jews were complaining. Why are you limiting the blessing? You should make the blessing infinite. Why with a number? So then he says, Kasher Dibra Lechem, that like only God can do. And the Shalom writes that the reason we read this blessing before Tisha B'Av, because it's with the hope and the confidence that very soon God will renew us and will be infinite and will be 6 billion and infinite blessings to all of us when Mashiach will come. The same is true with the Shabbos Chazoin. We call it Shabbos Chazoin, and people say it's the Shabbos right before Tisha B'Av. But the Holy Barditchever says that the real reason we call it Shabbos Chazoin is not for the rebuke. It's for the vision that we all get. God shows every Jew the third temple and says, listen, my dear son, I can't wait to give this back to you. Please fix your ways and get ready for Mashiach. So here we have the double-edged sword of Shabbos Devarim, of our Shabbos. It's words of rebuke, but words of tremendous blessing. It's words of a vision of destruction, but it's also a vision of great rebuild and great joy. It begins with rebuke and it ends with very positive messages. Both the portion and the Haftorah, to teach us that even though we are on the Shabbos right before Tisha B'Av, we are not down. We know that God has not forsaken us. It's all for our good. But we can't wait until we come to the end of the Parsha very soon, and these days will be transformed into the happiest days in the Jewish calendar. I just want to finish with a thought that the Rebbe said in 1963. It's interesting, the portion says in the beginning that Moshe rebuked the Jews after he smit and he killed the giant Sichon and Og. And Rashi says, why is that point important? Because Moshe didn't rebuke the Jews until he started conquering Israel. Because the Jews shouldn't say he couldn't conquer Israel. So he decided to rebuke us and give us all the reasons why we won't get Israel. So first, he gave them some of Israel. I had a teacher in class, whenever we used to ask for recess, we told him, you promised us a recess. He said, for this alone you're not getting recess. So God wanted to give the Jews, Moshe Rabbeinu, wanted to give the Jews an explanation that I already gave you something. You already conquered the giants, now I can rebuke you. So the Rebbe said at that Farbrengen that before God rebukes us, He has to give us everything that we need. And even the rebuking, the Rebbe says, we could get from studying diligently Torah, working hard on the study of Torah, that can take the place of any rebuke. Let us all increase in our Torah study in these 9 days and afterwards, and let us merit very soon the end of our portion and the end of the Haftorah when Zion will be redeemed. Have a wonderful week.